Good evening. Good evening. Thank you all for coming out tonight. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. I can't take credit for that. That was Jay-Z. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "No man is an island on his own." And just a few hours north of here in Springfield, Mass., where East, West, North, South came together, I'm reminded of the essential decency of the American people. And it is my belief that through this decency, we can build a more hopeful America, starting right here in the Constitution state of Connecticut. That is why I stand before you, a newly minted Republican, remembering that Lincoln once called on a house divided to stand together, where common hopes and common dreams still live. And I stand before you today to announce my candidacy for mayor of the greatest American city in these United States, Norwalk, Connecticut. I was born in the Bronx, New York, to an immigrant mother from the Caribbean who taught me never give up and work hard. She would always say, be leery of who promotes you, for all promotions aren't good ones. With that, I decided to chart my own path in life, to be of service to others, and as a criminal defense attorney, I fight every day to protect the Constitution and the Constitution of the United States of America. The United States hasn't always been a pleasant place for people of my hue. And that's why I have decked these halls this evening with pictures that are reminders of the civil rights struggle that preceded me and my forefathers. You can look around all through the hall. We have these great art pieces that I want to share with you as reminders. These displays are reminders of how far we have come and a reminder of how far we have to go, yet still. And I know my candidacy here tonight is an unlikely one. An African-American boy with a funny name like Darnell from the Bronx, with parents from the Caribbean. In many regards, it takes some audacity for me to stand here tonight, asking for you to accept my application to be your next mayor. To be the first African-American mayor in a city where there are only 14% African-Americans. But I know in my heart that Norwalk is an amazing American city. I know that there isn't a black America, there isn't a white America, Hispanic America, there isn't an Asian America, there's one America, the United States of America. And we must remain united. My grandfather brought the family here to America from the Twin Islands of Antigua and Barbuda. He worked as a janitor in Bronx Community College, and my grandmother worked in the lunchroom of my elementary school, also in the Bronx. They taught me the value of an education, although my grandfather only had a third grade education. They also taught me respect and the importance of caring for and taking care of others. You see, there isn't a black America again. I want to remind you, there's only one America, the United States of America. I was often confused growing up because I never knew who my family was. You see, my grandfather bought a house in the Bronx. It had 4 floors, and there would always be so many people living in that one house. I would ask my grandfather, who are these people? And he would say, they're your family. What was happening was this. My grandfather believed that anyone who migrated from our islands in the Caribbean would always have a place to live while they acclimated to America. And he would take in 2 to 3 to 4 families at a time. So there was tight spaces in that place. And just like that, I watched those families grow, they got stronger, and they moved out of the house, and they found places to live on their own. And they lived prosperous lives. And that is what we call the American dream. My grandfather believed in giving a helping hand, never a handout. And to this day, I cherish that same community spirit, the spirit of giving. We don't need our government to be in all of our affairs, to raise our kids, to make us reliant. We as a people, as a country, must foster self-reliance, not bigger government. My grandfather moved back home to Barbuda, and he did well. Every 4th of July, he would fly his American flag proudly from his porch in front of his house, and he would give thanks for the opportunity that this country gave him to be a better person. I would be on the island every summer, and I learned the value of hard work. And I witnessed my family own and operate the very first full-service fuel station on the island. They also sold cooking gas to the entire island, and later sold the business for millions of dollars. So I witnessed humble beginnings, I witnessed hard work, and I witnessed determination. So I stand here before you ready to work. I stand here before you having graduated law school. I stand here before you having worked in the Bronx District Attorney's Office, the Stanford Courthouse, and having served on many boards and commissions. The author of the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, said it best. We don't take jobs to make money, but for the experience. I am experienced and ready for this job. Having gone to school in the South, both college and law school, Atlanta to be specific, I witnessed black excellence. I would have lunch on a daily basis with Congressman John Lewis, who is a friend of mine to this day. I watched mayor after mayor lead the city of Atlanta, the greats like Andrew Young, Maynard Jackson, Kasim Reed, and my professor and friend and former judge, Marvin Arrington. These are people that have instilled in me what it takes to be the mayor of Norwalk, Connecticut. And I am ready. Norwalk is broken, and I'm ready to fix it. Because of my diverse background, I'm relatable to the people. I'm relatable to all the people of South Norwalk, to the people in West Norwalk, all the people. I have worked in the legal field, worked in the music industry, and started the first reggae show ever to air on radio in Atlanta. At that time, Little John was an intern at So Def, and I approached him to work on a show with me. And it was a huge hit, a major success in Atlanta. And I left the show and went on to work for the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. And Little John went on to make millions of dollars. So in many instances, I guess you can say I can relate to all people, from Congressman John Lewis to Little John and everybody in between. I'm your candidate. I'm the person that can bring healing and reconciliation to Norwalk. Let's fix it. Tonight is your night. Thank you. Tonight is your night, so I won't attempt to take a deep dive into the issues, as my manager Kurt always says every single day at every single meeting. Let's take a deep dive. We won't do that. We'll wait for the debates in the upcoming weeks. But I want to highlight only this. We will never prosper as a city if we continue down the road that we're on. We have to make better decisions. Last night, many people, including myself, spoke out at the City Hall at the Planning Commission's meeting against the POCO project here in Wall Street. Many of you might not have heard of it. There are so many people in support of making Wall Street a place where the arts can thrive. So many people in favor of preserving the historic relevance of the Garden Cinema. I remember the indie film Slumdog Millionaire. I watched it at that theater, and it was a different experience than any other. Yet, the voices of the people are continually ignored. The project on POCO, the POCO project on Wall Street makes no sense, and it's simply nothing more than a bailout to save the banks, and simply because your current mayor is in bed with the developers. He has lost his way, and it's all about what suits him. To take a Trump approach to the situation, I have dubbed him Tired Harry, a name that suits him well. He, like other tired people, are impatient, disinterested, and they don't care about you or me, and they become arrogant because they're tired. The POCO project promised to build 101 units with a third affordable. That was back in 2014. Remember that date. Now, after spending millions of dollars, spending millions of HUD funds that were earmarked for Norwalk to save a failed project, what has the city done? Yep, with all that money wasted, they have decided to make the entire building affordable. So now, remember, they have no money. We waste a lot of money. It was supposed to be a third affordable, and now they make the whole building affordable. That makes no sense. Another government handout, which is very different from a helping hand like my grandfather understood. If you shrink disposable income, you shrink the customer base of the businesses in the Wall Street area, and they can't spend and the businesses can't thrive. But in 2014, the newly elected mayor, Harry Rilling, said of the POCO project, and I quote, "I consider this project to be the beginning of the rebirth of the Wall Street area in Norwalk." Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, but your rebirth was a stillborn, and it's time to abort that bad plan and start over. This time, we'll include the business owners. This time, we'll include the employees. This time, we'll talk to the customers and the taxpayers. This time, we will include all of you that are here tonight. No more backroom deals. Harry's pension plan. What also doesn't make sense is tied Harry's pension plan. In this state, if you are a state worker, no matter what department you work in, probation, bail, or even a judge, when you move from one job to another job, your time moves with you, and it moves towards your retirement. And you get one pension, one. Not in Norwalk. Your mayor worked as a policeman, and he got what? A pension. He was promoted from a policeman to a police chief in the same department, in the same city, with the same budget, and what do we give him? Another pension. And now, because he has been a mayor for 8 years, he is now vested and gets what? A third pension. And what do you get? You get the bill. And this bill is going to be yours forever and ever and ever. So he's all set with pensions, and he is tired as the pension plans themselves. That's why he has hired so many people to do his job. And he is only looking to make a couple more dollars and a couple more connections with the developers, and he'll leave you to clean up the mess. He has what? 1, corp counsel. 2, deputy mayor. He has outside law firms, and he has a law department. That's a bloated government led by tired Harry, and it's time for us to fix it. We all like to shop. I get it. But what the hell was the mayor thinking when he decided to build that mall? Traffic will be terrible, small business will suffer. Then we turn around and give the builders a tax break instead of making them pay us. Now, the trend is when you have density, like in Norwalk, like in Manhattan, we don't give them tax incentives. They pay us to build in densified areas, not the other way around. But that didn't happen here because of Harry's friends. Here, we paid them to come to a dense area where there's going to be nothing but terrible decisions and terrible lives for the people. Another bad decision by a bad mayor. The trend also shows that malls around the country are failing and that online shopping is the way to go. So, the Stanford Mall down the street, they realized that malls were no good and that malls were failing, so they closed the mall. What did? We decided to open a damn mall. Really? Whose idea was that? Tired Harry. In a couple of years, that mall will be an empty building. We could have bought Amazon here when New York gave it up. We could have bought other industries and jobs here, but instead our mayor decided to make his friends rich with another bad deal. Guess what? Speaking of malls and shopping, which we all like to do, come November, it will be time to shop for a new leader. Thank you, brother. Love you back. It will be time to shop for a leader that has experience in defending his people, a leader that can defend Norwalk and move this city along. A famous coach once said, "The wins are yours, but the losses are mine." As your next mayor, I will accept responsibility for the things that need fixing, and I'll fix them. The pay to play. Bob Duff contributes to Harry's campaign, and Harry contributes to Bob Duff's campaign. So when Bob Duff fails to bring money to Norwalk from Hartford, Harry doesn't stand up to him, but I will, and you will. Bob is a little fella, figuratively speaking, and he does very little for the people of Norwalk. Mark is in this house tonight. So Mark, where are you? Mark, if you don't mind, I'm going to borrow one of the best campaign lines I've ever heard. Enough duff. Enough duff. Enough duff. And while we at it, enough Harry Rilling. No more fake drive-by tax assessments and fake home business evaluations just to make your taxes higher. In closing, no other campaign is asking the people of Norwalk what is broken in your lives. I often say if you invited a plumber to your house and he walked in and didn't ask you what's broken and started repairing pipes, he might put in some good copper pipes, some color pipes. But when he's done, you might say, hey, Mr. Plumber, that wasn't the broken pipe, it was this one, the one that's leaking all over the place. But until people start asking the people of Norwalk what's broken, then no one is going to know what to fix. Do we have Kirk around? Do you have your mic?
I'm here.
Thank you, brother. Now, in closing, the jury has been out for about 8 years. I'm a lawyer, I like to focus on the jury. The jury has decisions to make. So the jury has been out on Harry for about 8 years. But come this November, we'll have a verdict. So if the jury foreperson can please stand.
Right here.
Can the defendant, Harry Rilling, please rise? To the charge of overspending, do we have a verdict?
Guilty.
Step away from the speaker.
Guilty.
To the charge of insider trading, do we have a verdict?
Guilty.
To the charge of having multiple pensions, do we have a verdict?
Guilty.
To the charge of a bad mall and a bad POCO deal, do we have a verdict?
Guilty.
You know, there's a saying that people used to use when things just aren't right. We often say it's kind of hairy, or we say it's a hairy situation. Norwalk has been in a hairy situation for far too long, and it's time for change. So come November, let's cross over. Let's cross over to where the grass is greener. Let's cross over to Crosland. And when you walk around this city for the next couple weeks and the next couple months, I want you to see me and see your friends, and I want you to say, let's fix it. What are we going to say?
Let's fix it.
What are we going to say?
Let's fix it.
What are we going to say?
Let's fix it.
Let's party tonight. Where's my steel pan?